I've been looking at the ground, but I ain't getting any higher.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for downloading the Voice of Bedlam podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Santoro. We got a great show planned for you guys today. As always, let's get things rolling with my man, Devil John. What's going on, John?
It's been a crazy week. I'm having, had a little fun today, as you guys know, with the thread. But other than that, it's a hot-ass week, man. I can't take it.
It's only supposed to get hotter, too.
I know. And I was stupid and wore a dark color shirt, so that sun was just grabbing me. But how are you doing over there, Sean?
I'm doing good, man. Talk about a hot week. Think about going outside to smoke a cigarette on my break when I got like 6 layers on because I work in a freezer all day. That sucks. But other than that, we're here to talk about football, and other sports too. So let's do it.
John, when are you ever gonna get healthy again?
I'm getting there, right? Like,
sure you are.
Unfortunately, I have asthma, so like anytime like that, I get sick, it just grabs into my lungs and I'm done. I'm out for the count usually. So, but speaking of health, why don't we hit up Kiani? Who's a health and wellness company that offers pioneering and life-changing results. You can click the ad in the link below and use the promo code PillsNoMore as your username.
All one word.
All one word, guys. No spaces. And you can see what Kiani can do for you. Maybe even try out the Nitro Extreme, which will improve your energy levels and severely help your cardiovascular system. So hit up Kiani today, where Kiani Wellness Simplified.
All right, so just click on the description. Click on the link in the description.
Click.
I can't talk.
Clickety-click.
All right, but let's tell you guys about BigLeagueShirts.com. If you want your team to compete with flair, then look no further than at BigLeagueShirts.com. They will help push your team to the next level with high quality and personally customized jersey. If you don't have a team, but you're a parent, think about how cool and awesome you're going to be when you show up with a bunch of new customized jerseys for your kid's Little League team. Now, you can go to BigLeagueShirts.com and customize your order and place your order there. But if you guys call 913-909-9236, they'll give you $50 off your first order if you tell them you heard the advertisement on the Voice of Bedlam. So call 913-909-9236 to get a hold of Big League Shirts today and get $50 off your first purchase.
Yes, and you can also send them an email. Just make sure the subject says Voice of Bedlam sent me.
There you go. But with that, let's kick off today's Daily Breakdown.
Indeed.
All right, we're going to get things rolling off with Lev'eon Bell. Since being drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2013, Bell has averaged 4.3 yards per carry and has recorded 2,777 total rushing yards. If that's not enough evidence, he scored 22 touchdowns in playing just 35 games.
Yeah, but my old boy D'Angelo Williams almost took his job last season because
the injuries.
But he came in there and he took over that ball control for the Steelers and made them relevant because I saw D'Angelo Williams going off the waiver line pretty quick. But
oh yeah, he was going off like crazy.
But Lev Bell, when he came back, he played 6 games, man. So
his numbers last year: 6 games, 113 attempts. 556 yards.
That's
averaging 4.9.
That's crazy.
4.9, 3 touchdowns with a 42-yard long.
Yeah, and not only that, it's not like I can say that he's not consistent because the year before he had an average of 4.7 for the year, with 1,361 yards that year, racking up 8 TDs. But he didn't even pull up, even 50-50 split, because he lost 10 games that season in 2015.
And D'Angelo Williams didn't stay healthy either.
I know.
I had them both in fantasy.
Yeah, well, that's because the boy out of Memphis, I liked him coming out of Memphis because he was strong running back out of Memphis, when he was playing in Memphis. And then when he came to the Panthers, he kind of helped establish our own Thunder and Lightning there with him and Jonathan Stewart. But they both kind of always bounced back and forth between who's going to be injured and who's not going to be injured. And then that injury bug definitely followed him over there. You're indeed correct. But, at the beginning of the season when the Steelers needed a running back, because Lev Bell could not play for suspension reasons.
Marijuana.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's why I said suspension reasons, because I was just like, you know what, man, he shouldn't have been taken out. But D'Angelo Williams still moved the ball for them. But but now he's entering. But Lev Bell now he's entering his final year of his deal now. So it's gonna. This is going to make this.
He's going to be the 45th. See, his contract right now, he's only the 45th highest paid running back, scheduled to make $1.3 million and some change this season. But according to his Twitter account, he says, "I'm as humble as they get, but I'm aware of my value." And end quote. And that's why he's asking for $15 million a year in this new rap song he's coming out with, saying, "I'm at the top, and if I'm not, I'm the closest. I'm gonna need 15 a year," and they know this. Wow, I totally butchered that at the end. So one more time, I'm at the top, and if not, I'm the closest. I'm gonna need 15 a year, and they know this. Lev Bell rapping about the contracts he wants from the Steelers.
You sounded like Malibu's Most Wanted.
Yeah, I did. Hey, yo, I'm a punk rocker, not a rapper. I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
well, I was gonna say, looking at his stats from last year, they were actually, as far as yards per carry, he actually averaged the best, or I'm sorry, not yards per carry, but yards per game. He actually averaged the best of his entire career.
Almost 19.
In that year. 92.7 a game. So that's actually his, for a running back, that's pretty good. 92.7 a game.
It is a little bit easier to keep that average up with less games playing, I think, a little bit.
The most impressive thing that I see in his stats is that he only has one fumble and being a Steelers running back. Steelers are known for being old school ground and pound.
And that was his rookie year, 2013, when he had that fumble.
I like what I've seen out of Lev'eon Bell. I actually have him number 2 in my fantasy running backs going into this year, and that's only
check it out, voiceofbedlam.com.
Yes, that's only because he's possibly facing suspension with supposedly he missed a drug test a couple weeks back. But I mean, you're talking about a guy who has been at the top of the rushing game for the last 3 years, and he's only going into his 4th year this year.
Yeah, and he's really going to be looking for some cash. Like I said, only scheduled to make $1.3 million.
I think he's earned all of that, if not more.
Oh, without a doubt, he's earned more. But what do you guys think of the Steelers' offense, not just the backfield, Steelers' offense as a whole in fantasy? I mean, for the first time ever, ESPN.com is giving the highest valued player to a wide receiver, that being Antonio Brown. He's then followed up by a second wide receiver, that being Julio Jones, and then Lev'eon Bell is number 3 overall, top running back. That's how ESPN has him ranked. It'd be as far as fantasy goes.
I can see
with Big Ben at quarterback, who are you guys really going to try and target out of this offense? Do they still have Heath Miller? Or did he retire?
I believe he retired.
Yeah, he retired.
Yeah.
All right, but who are you guys going to see? Who are you guys going to target out of this offense in fantasy, and about what round?
I'm targeting Antonio Brown.
Over Bell.
No,
that's a good question, man.
That's why I asked it.
Because I always take.
If he plays the full season, I'm taking Lev Bell.
Okay.
I hear where John's coming from. Here's the thing, though. I usually take a running back with my first overall pick, so Lev Bell is definitely a good pick. But that being said, Antonio Brown is also probably going to go in that first round, because if you're in like a 12 to 14 man league, there's not going to be the plentiful pickings for running backs going all the way down the first round. So maybe someone might want to take a receiver in that first round, and if that's the case, then you want to take Antonio Brown. Check out my article. We're going to talk about it later.
And now also, but the way I really see this, Antonio Brown's numbers dipped a little bit last year, and that's when Big Ben got injured.
Most definitely.
So, are we really? How much of Antonio Brown's game are we hinging on Big Ben staying healthy?
Well, they have a good chemistry working together.
Yeah, but what if Big Ben goes down? He has a history to miss at least a couple games here and there.
Exactly. Well, Antonio Brown is a playmaker, so he's going to try to, he's going to be able, I should say, to make a play even without Big Ben, as long as the person that is throwing him the ball is throwing it within the catching radius. He's got long arms, and not only that, he makes plays. He puts himself into position to catch the ball. That's the reason why he's valued so high.
And he can go deep as well. He'll catch an outside pass to the sideline for 11 yards, but he'll also be there on a 40-yard out route, and he'll bring it down also. So he's good for fantasy.
But coming towards the end of his career now, he's in some deep duty.
Antonio Brown?
And the reason why I'm saying deep duty...
Are you talking about Roethlisberger?
No, I'm saying Antonio Brown.
You think he's at his end of his career?
No. Towards the end of his career, he's going to have a hard time getting those numbers because
this is when it gets there.
Because the Legion of Boom, all right, created a trend in this league to grab really tall cornerbacks. And by the time all these other teams catch on and they get these taller 6'2", 6'3" cornerbacks, it's catching on. That's what I'm saying. Towards the ends of his career, he's going to be facing people that are his size. So he's not going to be able to manhandle himself and position himself like he was in the beginning.
Here's another thing, though. Ben Roethlisberger, talk about going towards the end of your career. Ben Roethlisberger, I want to say, is like 34, 35.
He got drafted the same year with Eli and Rivers.
Yeah, 2004. So Ben Roethlisberger is slowly approaching the end of his career, where Antonio Brown is only 27, and so he's still got some productive years left in him. So what happens to Antonio Brown when Ben Roethlisberger is no longer a Pittsburgh Steeler?
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. What about if he goes down? How much? I mean, he is a playmaker. If you take Eli Manning from Odell Beckham, he's still going to be a playmaker. If you take Romo away from Dez, he's still a playmaker. But I think each and every one of those players, their play would go down a little. Not too many people get lucky enough.
All right. I have a follow-up now, okay? Whose game suffers the most? The running game or the passing game?
The passing game. When Roethlisberger retires?
If Roethlisberger goes
but
down.
they load the box when they'll load the box then against them, though. But they will load the box again because if they have a young, well, really, we're really projecting it far into the future. Who's maybe
I'm just saying if we're using the scenario that Ben Roethlisberger goes down, whose game, Lev Bell or Antonio Brown's game, which person's game is going to suffer the most?
Brown. Because if you have, let's say you have,
I mean, Big Ben did just sign a contract last year.
I'd have to almost say Lev Bell.
I don't even know who the backup quarterback for the Steelers is.
Michael Vick was last year.
You might see more fumbles because of the second guess, because they were maybe the quarterback, did a play action.
Sean McCoy definitely
didn't recognize
that
a hole.
Same predicament a couple of years ago when Deshaun Jackson was no longer an Eagle. So I can see it, but at the same time, like, what it really comes down to is who do you think is a bigger playmaker? Like who can still make plays regardless of who's under center? I still think it's Lev Bell.
They have two blockbuster players out there.
Lev Bell is one of the most talented running backs.
They will explode on.
Not that Antonio, because Antonio Brown's probably the most talented receiver in the league right now. But that passing game, when you don't have a absolute field general under center, the passing game is still going to suffer. It doesn't matter who you got at receiver.
Let's kick it back over to fantasy. Now, let's say I have the 4th or 5th pick in my draft. I'm up, Lev Bell's available. If I'm in that scenario, I'm taking Lev Bell, all right? But now, what round should I target? If I get Lev Bell, what round should I target D'Angelo Williams in to handcuff?
You might be.
How late can I get him?
It depends on whether or not he's suspended.
And not only that, it depends on how many haters of the Steelers are in your fantasy league. Because
I need a better answer than this guy.
I would say probably somewhere.
I'll give you a
around
round.
the 10th round.
You think it'd be? See, I'm
7.
thinking more like John. I am
6, 7.
I'm thinking if I wait to the 10th round, I might get burned.
Because the running backs
that are going to be 6, more like 7. Because
the running backs that are going to be left on the board after 7 and 8 are going to be like Alfred Blue and things like that.
Yep.
Like those caliber running.
Actually, John, you make a lot of sense.
That's the first time I heard that.
Williams might. he might be a guy to target in like the mid, like between like 6 and 10, but at the same time, like you're gonna be basing that pick you're making off of what he did last year, and the question is, can he produce the same way he did last year? And my answer is, I don't really know. So he might be, if you take him too high, you might end up screwing yourself.
Speaking of high, in the questionable conduct of Lev Bell, do you think he's going to last a full season and not gamble on handcuffing D'Angelo Williams?
If you can get that handcuff, absolutely take it. Definitely take it. But I wouldn't take D'Angelo Williams too high, because there might be a better pick out there in the 7th or 8th round. Maybe like a number 2 receiver or a number 3 receiver that might end up being way more productive for you. I'm not a fantasy expert, but that's just how I see it.
What about somebody?
You got to get running backs when you can, man, because those
that's true. That's
running
true.
backs and tight ends are hard to come by. Really, they really are. And quarterbacks, they go off on any given Sunday. There's 32 teams. If you're a starting quarterback, there's a chance that you're going to put up numbers, and especially in PPR.
And don't take a quarterback too early either.
Unless you're Cam Newton.
I mean,
we're gonna get into that later.
Let's get over and tell everybody. I mean, if you guys want to stick with this, we could go into a little bit more fantasy. But let's talk about RedInkResumes.com. Now, we've all heard the good news about the job market in the country expanding, and it's really time to jump on board and try and set up that new career for yourself. But if you have the same old boring, if you have the same old boring resumes of the past, you're not going to stand out. And if you're not different, you're not going to get the job. John, how can they be different?
Exactly. You know, with the powers of social media and everybody being able to reach so many different demographics, different areas, different companies, you can link yourself up to a career in minutes. But if you don't have that flash, the attention span of people these days is not going to get you that job. So you got to go to RedInkResumes.com, because they have creative ways to reach the job that you want. Mm-hmm. You got, because your employer is going to look at your resume, and if it doesn't pop out to them at all, they are going to move on to the next one. So do not be skipped over when your resume is sitting on the pile, and go to RedInkResumes.com today and get yourself ready for the future.
All right, guys. Now, actually, we're going to take a break from fantasy. We'll get back into it later. We're going to stick with the daily breakdown. Remember, anything on fantasy you want to say? Yeah, we're going to touch a lot of topics today. Going to get into some NBA. But first, let's talk about Buffalo wideout Marquise Goodwin. Goodwin. Wow, Andrew, dude, I cannot talk today.
It's all good.
But Goodwin will not be making a return trip to the Olympics in the Rio Games this year. He finished 7th in men's long jump at the U.S. Olympic trials on Sunday. Only the top 3 finishers qualify for the games, so he's out. Now, the 25-year-old wideout won the men's long jump U.S. trials in 2012. Won it all. The trials, of course, registering a jump of 27 feet 4 inches, but he didn't do so well in the 2012 Olympics in London, finishing in 10th. He's played 3 seasons with the Bills, but only participated in 2 games last year before he got moved on to season-ending IR.
Yeah, Jamaica's no joke when it comes to running and long jumps, and you know, there's, I know I sound like a nerd now because I'm like, multi-sport out, and like, it's like, oh yeah, I watch the Olympics, I watch football, American football.
I don't watch 7
MMA.
seconds of the Olympics. I don't.
You know, it's the longest surviving competition all the way that dates back, you know, all the way to
ancient Greece,
to statehoods.
I don't really care. A lot of the games are really dumb.
Well, I'm sorry. Maybe your ways might like the the winter games.
Well, yeah, I would. Yeah.
So I like the winter Olympics, but I don't like the summer Olympics.
Wait, what's that thing where they push?
Why are you mad? Are you mad because they took softball out because America was just killing it?
No, I'm mad because they got shuffleboard as an Olympic game. What is that thing called?
You mean curling? And that is a winter sport.
Whatever.
You said
I guess
you said you like.
I guess I don't like the Winter
Shuffleboard.
Olympics either.
You just did. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yo, it's on
Snowboarding's
video.
cool.
Go back and watch it now
I've
on
never
yourself.
watched like more than 5 minutes of the Olympics in my life. I do like the diving at times. I like diving, but I'm not gonna be like, "Ooh, diving's on." Like if it happens to
Are
be
you
on the
serious?
TV, like it'll be on the TV.
I don't watch.
Out of all
I don't
this-
watch the Olympics really either. But like, I don't. Yeah, sorry, my mic keeps falling down. I don't really watch the Olympics either.
All right, I got one thing to say to you. Okay. If you're missing out on women's volleyball and you're not watching Team Brazil, you're missing out, sir.
Points for John because women's volleyball is the hottest sport there is.
That and women's.
Well, yeah,
What's
yeah.
the sexy fantasy football? Not fantasy
Lingerie
football.
league.
Lingerie league. There you go.
But women's volleyball is definitely way up there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But
It's
sticking
all
with
the way up.
Olympics and NFL. Now, Randall Cunningham's 18-year-old daughter. What's her name? Fashida? Ashidi?
Ashidi?
I don't know.
I think that's how you pronounce
But
it. Ashidi.
Ms. Cunningham, she qualified for the Rio de Janeiro Olympics on Sunday in Eugene. Now, finishing
Oregon.
Eugene, Oregon. Finishing second in the women's high jump with a mark of 6 feet 5.5 inches.
That
She'll
is-
become the youngest U.S. track and field athlete to reach the Olympics since 1980.
Wow.
Old Eagles player. His
Yeah, good
daughter's
genetics.
Coming up big.
Good genetics.
yeah.
Those
Who was his wife? You look that up real quick. See if Randall Cunningham's wife was an athlete as well, because she might have got double dosed with some athletic genes.
Like Odell Beckham.
Exactly. You know,
His
because
dad was running back for LSU. His mom's a track.
Yeah.
I think she was an Olympic track. I think she made the Olympics. His mom. Don't quote me. I'm pretty sure she did.
I don't know. I knew that she was a track star though.
Well, while Sean figures that out, let's talk about newgenerationsportsapp.com. That's newgenerationsportsapp.com. This message is all for all the sports fans and gamers out there. The developers of Madden NFL, NCAA football, and NASCAR have teamed up with United Sports to create the first live sports app of its kind. Become an affiliate or play
for free.
So you guys can buy in and try and make some money off this new awesome app that you guys know how big apps are this day. So we got the people from Madden, NCAA, NASCAR, and United Sports. They're creating it, and you could buy in now and become an affiliate. So you guys need to go to newgenerationsportsapp.com, sign up, look at the packages. But also, if you're not looking to invest any money, you can go over there and sign up to play for free once the app launches. So remember, you can play for free. Go to newgenerationsportsapp.com now.
Yeah, but like I said, we were talking about, athletes that benefit from having dual athletic parents, and it's a simple conclusion, because it's genetics. When you have somebody that was killing it in one area and you had somebody else that was killing it in their own field, you're gonna create a monster.
Yeah.
And that's just, I know that sounds really mean and really weird, because it's like,
No,
we're
but you
talking
mean a
about
freak
humans.
athlete.
You get like a freak athlete that's like, a monster on the field or the court or wherever. And, I try to watch the summer games as much as I can. I am kind of, lackluster with the winter games. I like watching luge, and it's not just because of cool runnings.
We have a bobsled team.
Yeah. Rest in peace, John Candy.
Great movie.
Yeah, hell yeah, it's a good movie. That was one of those ones. Sanke, you dead man. See my mom like.
Rise and shine! It's butt whipping time.
Oh man.
Do you guys want to get on with the next story?
Yeah. Well, did you find out who the wife was?
It is Felicity de Jaeger.
Yeah.
They were married in 1993.
Talking to the microphone.
Talking to the mic there, Smokey.
I got nothing on who she was or who she
Okay, so she
Okay.
wasn't an
So
athlete.
she-
Then.
all right.
Yeah, if you didn't find anything
She
about
might
it.
have been an athlete, but I'm not going to sit here and say she was or wasn't because.
So
I'm
he
not
was
gonna
just
give-
over
I'm
there
not gonna
looking
give out
at some
false
other
information.
pictures and stuff, and he's like, "Yo, I don't
I'm
get free
trying to
time on
find
my
some stuff
computer at
out.
home."
They've been married for 20. They have been married for 23 years.
So all of our adults get that one. But Buccaneers offensive lineman Dominique Robertson got shot twice in the leg. What is going on with gun violence in the NFL right now?
Now, according to NFL.com, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive lineman was shot twice in the leg by an unknown suspect while outside of an apartment building in Loma Linda, California, early Thursday morning, according to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's
San
Department.
Bernardino.
Sorry, real
Whatever.
quick. Randall
okay.
Cunningham's wife was a ballet dancer.
Okay, so she's got
Oh,
some
so that is
athleticism.
that
So
takes a lot of athleticism.
that takes some strength and coordination.
So I could see the high jump being that high, and then not only that explosiveness. Because with Cunningham was really explosive, and he can move the ball. So yeah, man, and then you get a ballerina in there. You're precise and you're explosive. So good for her. I'm happy.
having all types of technical difficulties.
Technical difficulty.
No, it's just microphone issues. That's all. It's not that technical.
It's technical, and I got burned in the process.
Well, that's because
That
he
was
decided
your
to
own
be
damn
Smokey
fault.
McGee's over here. But back to these Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing an offensive lineman for a while because he got shot.
Now, the deputies were contacted.
Who shot you? Well, it was an unknown suspect, though, outside his apartment building. The report came in on Thursday morning, as we just said, from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. Robertson contacted the deputies after he was being treated for his wounds at Loma Linda University Medical Center. Now, according to the Sheriff's Department, deputies investigated the incident and were unable to locate any evidence or establish a crime scene where the shooting allegedly took place. Now, neighbors living in the vicinity told deputies they did not hear gunshots or other disturbances even near the time of this suspected or alleged shooting. Now, according to a deputy Olivia Bozek, Robertson suffered injuries to his back, buttocks, and his leg.
So he might have got shot in the buttocks.
In the buttocks.
Yeah, I got shot in the buttocks. But he caused the shoot. Who caused the shooting and it remains under investigation, as she said in a report today.
Yeah. He was
Robertson's
released from the hospital on Friday as well.
Yeah, so obviously somebody did shoot him, and that was him. Or
You think he shot? That's what I was thinking.
Or-
It seems too fishy.
Is it a
Or-
Plaxico Burress
Again?
situation?
Is that always what we're going to think every time somebody in the NFL
yeah,
gets shot?
yeah, because I'm always going to think of how can I make this into a joke about the Giants.
it's either that though, or now we have to throw a keep to lead because
Yes, that's also.
he's more recent.
Well, I think
I don't like
I
past
think
data
I'd
I'd
references
rather
too
make
much.
a joke about the Giants than the Broncos. So
Why you got the love for the Broncos because your Eagles won't get a Super Bowl?
You got the
because I
hate for the
hate
Giants.
for the Giants.
You got hate for the Giants. Dang man, your hate's strong,
All right, but
I'm an
but not as strong as that malt liquor. but what I'm saying is
45 and 2 zigzags.
that's what all I knew.
This ain't call 45 though,
But anywho, he's 21 years old. But honestly, the theory I have going on in my mind of what it could be that he has to deal with is the fact that he might have owed some people some money.
Why? Why are we just throwing this rumor out into the world?
Well, because if it's an
I think it's because he was cheating on his wife. Like, we could just say random stuff. Where are you getting it from?
Exactly. Well, I'm just saying if it's an unknown suspect, and there's not too much information, and he already talked to the sheriff's department.
That's what's weird. There's something fishy because there's no information. Like,
Exactly.
nobody heard anything, nobody saw anything. He doesn't know.
So
like,
exactly. So he either shot himself, or
He
he
get robbed.
or he owes somebody money.
I got you there. So something underhanded, and then something underhanded generally has something to do with money.
You know, because that's a
And
warning
he's
shot.
not a rat.
Yeah, and it's a warning shot. It's like, yo, I could have put that to your head. You know, because honestly, you know, in this day and age, there's a lot of people that are owning guns, and there's a lot of people that practice using those guns. So if you're shooting a gun, most times you're gonna shoot exactly where you're aiming.
All right, but let's get
Let's see
moving
how that
on.
story develops.
Let's get moving on. A little bit more bad news coming for the NFL. Former Ohio
Hawkeye.
How about you read the news, John? I can't
All
talk
right,
today.
former Ohio Hawkeye offensive lineman Kyle Callaway, a 2010 seventh-round draft pick for the Buffalo Bills, was killed by a train on Saturday in Tucson, Arizona. He was 29 years old, and according to Chase according to Chase Goodbread of NFL.com. The Tuscan Police Department released a statement saying that Callaway was jogging westbound on and off the railroad tracks when he was struck from behind by a train and was pronounced dead at the scene. There's a quote from Ed Callaway saying that, and I quote, "That was what he did for exercise," end quote.
That was his father.
Yeah, and that's what he told the Gazette of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And to finish up what and I quote, he liked to run, and it had rained the day before, and the area where he ran was muddy. So he was going back and forth across the tracks to get out of the mud, end quote.
All right, now he was a 3-year starter for the Hawkeyes and was twice selected team All Big Ten. He was released by the Bills during the preseason of his rookie year. He signed with the Ravens the following year and appeared in 2 preseason games for Baltimore before being released.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that sucks.
It always seems like we're talking. I feel like there'll never be an off season where you don't talk about a player or a former player that was killed or died otherwise.
But also in the same token, like, I sure hope that he wasn't like wearing headphones. You know what I mean? Like, people
Yeah, that's kind of what I was
probably
thinking.
was.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
If I was running around, I'd be wearing headphones.
You know what I'm saying?
I'd be having earbuds.
But what I'm saying is that, like, now you see how much of an environmental, like, hazard you can become then if you're not. Because I see people all the time walking around with these headphones and these big giant Beats headphones on their heads, like what we were using studio cans. People are walking around the streets with them things on, and then I almost hit them because they're walking out when it's not their turn. And then it's like, what are we doing, guys? It stinks because yes, I'm 30. I just turned 30, so he's around my age. You know what I mean? And that
I'm 29, so
and that stinks.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't imagine, what that would be like for like my family if like I was just killed, probably via an accident. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I'd say getting hit by a train. Yeah, most likely an accident. All right, Boston College will retire the jerseys of Matt Ryan and your boy Luke Kuechly. BC will be giving the 2 players separate retirement ceremonies. Kuechly's jersey will be retired during Syracuse at BC game on October 22nd, while Ryan's will be retired when UConn visits the Eagles on November 19th. BC Director of Athletics Brad Bates, in a school release, was quoted as saying, "On behalf of Boston College and Eagles fans everywhere, I would like to congratulate Luke and Matt on this well-deserved honor."
The director also went on to say, and I quote, "Matt and Luke represent the very best of intercollegiate athletics and personify the Jesuit principle of men and women for others. Both enjoyed brilliant collegiate careers and have gone on to enjoy success in the NFL. Beyond the gridiron, you would be hard-pressed to find two gentlemen who conduct themselves with more integrity, discipline, generosity, and kindness. They all make us very proud, end quote.
Now that's Brad Bates in a school release. All right, now according to NFL.com, Kuechly was a two-time consensus first-team All-American at Boston College and won the Butkus Award. My man, Dick Butkus, which that award goes to the top linebacker. He won that in his final season, 2012. Ryan set a school record with 4,507 passing yards in 07 on his way to being selected ACC Player of the Year. Now, you can see both of these players, no matter where you live,
and you're
going up in
college
that
football.
NFC South. They go up against each other twice a year now.
Yes,
and you can catch that by getting DirecTV's Sunday Ticket, NFL Sunday Ticket Max. You can call 855-668-9061. That's 855-668-9061. Now, you can get the full sports package. You can get all the MLB packages, NBA, which we're going to get
College
into.
football.
We're going to get into in today's
Hockey.
4-Minute Hut. Now, you can get all the sports. You can get all the channels. You can keep your local channels, get all the HBOs, Cinemax, all that. All you got to do is call DirecTV at this number and book your appointment for your free installation at 855-668-9061. And with that, let's bring back the
4-Minute Hut.
The what?
4-Minute Hut.
4-Minute what?
All right.
4-Minute Hut.
Okay, all right. Now, the 4-Minute
sounded all
Hut
evil.
is our topic discussion. We're really getting out into other sports now. Tonight's 4-Minute Hut is going to go from the gridiron to the floor, taking it inside, and we're going to be talking about some NBA. And we're going to be talking about a lot of the free agency that's going on. And also, I'm going to take a second here and plug my article up at voiceofbedlam.com, and it's called Looking at the Cap, NBA versus NFL. And what I go into in that particular article is talking about if NFL players are now underpaid. Now, I know that sounds absolutely insane, but go read the article, and I'm talking strictly in comparison to basketball players, and you tweet at me at Andrew Bedlam and tell me what you think.
I don't know, because Dirk Nowitzki just signed a 2-year
$40 million?
Yeah, so that's $20 million a year.
Exactly, and that's
But also, let's not forget the basketball season's there's 80 some games almost. It's as long as baseball. There's so many games. There's almost 100
No, there's
games.
only 80 games
There's
now.
only 82
They
games.
shortened it. Yeah, they
shortened it again.
Yeah.
82 games in the NBA season.
But
So
this
same as the NHL.
That's still look. There's 16 played games in the NFL for each team. And then you're saying 82?
Well, listen to what I got to
82,
say, right? Basically, all right, the gross income of the NFL during the 2015 season was big. 7.24 million big.
Billion.
Yes,
It says
my mistake.
billion.
Yes, it is billion. I wrote the article.
Don't pat me on the head. I'm not a dog.
Good boy. Sit. All right. The gross income of the NFL during the 2015
This guy.
season was 7.24 billion. Now, each team will receive $226.4 million. Now, that money goes to the owner. Now, those figures are according to the Green Bay Packers annual fiscal report. Most of the money is coming from the new television contracts and all that. And like I said, that goes right to the owners of the clubs. Why shouldn't the players that are actually generating that large income be compensated? Because basically, all right, now I go into the article and I start talking about Stan Kroenke. Now, Stan Kroenke owns the Rams, he owns the Nuggets, he owns a lacrosse team, he owns a baseball team, and an NHL team. He is then married to Anne Kroenke, who is the heiress to the Walmart fortune. Okay, so these people are loaded. And when we got fans like myself, like everybody in this room, that are basically willing to pay, basically to get a seat at the Giants for the season, $2,275 per seat in the 26th row of the lower level. Now, if you want to get some Knicks floor seats, that's $3,699 per seat. Now, does Stan Kroenke really need to get all this money? He doesn't own either one of those teams, but I imagine all the figures are similar. Do they really need to generate that much? No, that money should be going back to the players. Yes, it's ridiculous that Andrew Luck is going to make $28 million for playing a game in a couple years, but at the same time, the owner is literally going to be making 10 times that amount. I think that wealth should go back down to the player. Now, also, when we're doing this comparison, you got to keep in mind the salary caps are different. The NFL salary cap is about $156 million compared to the NBA's, which is $92 million. But the percentages of that, I mean, an NFL roster is 53 men, 90 in the summer. It's only 14 in the NBA.
Yeah.
Only
you're
14
you're talking about a lot more money being spread out over very, very much less players.
And that's why basketball players, these new contracts that we're about to get into, are making what appears to be so much more money, and they're getting better guarantees. But one of the reasons they're getting better guarantees is because football is more violent. Football, you're at a risk. Now, I looked up, do you know what the average...
I don't know, man. I don't know if you've been watching a lot of basketball then, because basketball gets pretty violent.
Do you know what the average NFL lifespan is?
What after football?
No.
Season?
How long?
Isn't it like 3 or 4 years or something?
3.3 years in the NFL, which means most players never even see free agency and they're gone. And now what this does, the reason why basketball is getting a better end of the deal also, their union is stronger. Now, the NFL's union, when you got people who aren't even
making an established organization longer.
Oh, well, no, but what I'm saying, listen to me here, right? Look, the NFL with the average player only playing 3.3 years. That player is far less likely to go out on a strike and forfeit a year's salary, which would be a third, basically, of their gross income of their career playing football, and people don't want to strike. Not to mention, now just talking about basketball and football, there has been 6 play stoppages for the NFL. Now, some of them were strikes, some of them were lockouts. There's been 4 for the NBA. That's a total of 10. Out of those 10 times of just those 2 sports, in 1987, that was probably the biggest one when the NFL went out and actually hired some scabs, some replacement players against the union, and that's what the movie The Replacements is about. That's supposed to be the Washington Redskins, the Washington Sentinels. But just look at this. What kind of precedents does this set? The 2 biggest names in sports, at least in the NFL at that time, are Joe Montana and LT, Lawrence Taylor. Both them guys crossed the picket line. Joe Montana and Lawrence Taylor both crossed the picket line during a strike. The NFL's union has always been the weakest. Sure, they have the best 401k, they have the best health benefits and all that, but the union as a whole is weak. Their guarantees are growing, but it's nowhere near basketball and stuff like that. And one last thing, let's talk about the amount of money that NBA players get in
contracts,
like
endorsements.
Endorsements, yes. Yeah. Kevin Durant got a 10-year deal with Nike, $285 million.
Yeah, but do you know how much each of those sneakers are?
I don't really care. Andrew Luck,
$200 sneakers.
Andrew Luck, that averages out higher than Andrew Luck's salary. Andrew Luck is going to make 1 year, he's going to make 28.5. Durant is going to make 28.5 for 10 years wearing friggin' sneakers.
Can I ask one?
Insane.
Can I ask one
Insane.
question?
NFL players are underpaid in comparison.
John, go ahead and then I'm going to say what I have to say.
Why are you so angry about this man making money?
No. I even say in the article.
He does sound kind of angry.
No.
Yeah, he sounds really mad that KD makes a lot of money.
No. I will directly quote the article. Literally, after I say the number, it says, I'm not knocking the man for it. It's just unfathomable to me.
I know. I just wanted you to say it, okay? Because, No,
it is.
Obviously,
that's insane.
Read it in his own words at voiceofbedlam.com, but I wanted the man to kind of clear his delivery there. It seemed a little angry, like, hey, KD, you make too much. But
so go ahead, John.
But those endorsement deals are more I would have to say they're more attainable for the NBA audience because anybody can put on a pair of sneakers and grab a ball and find a basketball court.
Yes.
Not everybody can afford the pads, the helmets, and the cleats and things that you need to play football.
Absolutely.
Basketball is a much more affordable sport to play, but when you're on the market out there and you're playing all game, think about all the people, like, remember when Allen Iverson had the arm sleeve? Think about everybody.
The answers. Do you remember how
the finger bands for his threes? You know, everybody. It's you're a walking advertisement out there. You're a billboard for these companies in basketball, and not only that. And since it's so affordable, kids will beg and plead. Because I was one of those kids. I played for St. Anthony's Youth Center, right down here, right on this side of town,
7th Street.
Yep. You know, now it's called Easton Neighborhood Center, I guess, because they don't. St. Anthony's, the church doesn't own it anymore. But so I'm one of the old heads there, I guess. But you know, in that time, I remember seeing these things and being like, "Well, I gotta look like, I got number 3. I got number 3. I gotta have the things." And then it's like, "Nah, I don't need that too much." Then, but my brother, most definitely, he was in the same way though. You know, we always had the freshest sneakers, but the freshest sneakers were who's the biggest name right now.
Exactly.
Who's got the hottest sneaker right now? It was always Jordan. There was Iverson.
It was the Iverson. It was the answers. And I'm gonna take what you said. I'm gonna throw my own piece on it. Go back to like 1999, 2000, 2001, somewhere around the early millennium, right around the turn of the century. Everyone was wearing the answers. Allen Iverson's shoes. What it basically comes down to is no one's really going to be wearing the star football players' cleats out there on the football field. But everyone is going to be wearing the star basketball players' sneakers out on the basketball court. It's really what it comes down to. Yeah, and whoever is the biggest name in basketball, everyone's going to be buying them sneakers.
And it wasn't just.
And it doesn't matter. If they're $150 or they're $20.
It wasn't just everybody.
Everyone's going to be buying them. Everyone was buying the answers. I don't know how many. When I was in like 6th grade, I wish I had $1 for every time I saw someone walking around in the red pair of the answers. Basketball is it's more marketable to the general public than football is. No one's going to be going out there wearing Richard Sherman's cleats on the football field. Everyone's going to be going out there wearing LeBron James's
whatever they're called.
Whatever they're called, yeah, exactly. Whatever they're called,
Nike.
Whatever they're called, sneakers. They're going to be wearing them.
But weren't you guys just praising LeBron? You don't even know what sneaker he wears.
I wasn't praising LeBron.
I don't know what sneakers he wears. I just know he's a good.
I could care less about fashion.
So I guess you don't watch him that much because you would see that he's wearing.
I'm just saying he's a good basketball. I
don't even know what this shirt means.
I don't care about his shoes.
Oh, that's an Iron Pig shirt.
I don't even know. Really, is it?
The farm league for the Phillies.
I wouldn't even know that. But let's get back over to the court here. And you brought up Dirk Nowitzki talking about the Dallas Mavericks. Now they are throwing around money. Mark Cuban is just making it rain. All right. Now they signed Harrison Barnes. They signed Harrison Barnes to a 4-year, $95 million deal. Now let's be real here. He's kind of a sixth man, going to be making 17.5 as a reserve, and he's a guy who struggles with his shot at times. We're talking almost 12 points a game, only 1.8 assists, and about 5 rebounds per game. $95 million.
The sixth man is as important as the first 5 men.
$95 million. They're giving Dirk Nowitzki 40 over 2.
Huh? We're talking about Dirk Nowitzki, right?
No, he's getting $40 million over 2 years.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about his teammate Harrison Barnes getting 95.
Well, he's coming over from Golden State. The team that just won 73 games. Like, I know they didn't win, but
and not only that, he was hot off the bench.
And he was a big part in that NBA Finals.
So what you're saying, because that's the one thing that I get a little uptight about, because everybody doesn't respect that sixth man, because when those first 5 are running back and forth, exactly.
Do you remember James Harden?
The end of Allen's career.
James Harden was a starter in the league from the day that he became a sixth man in Oklahoma City.
Correct.
And he was
the Rockets.
And now he's playing for Houston, and he's scoring He's averaging like 30-something points a game or something.
He's the backbone of the Rockets over there. I'm a Rockets fan.
No, they haven't won anything, but when he was playing on OKC,
because
playing
think about it. You had Westbrook, you had KD.
Second fiddle to KD and Russell Westbrook, but he was still throwing up monster numbers every single night.
To me, it's like giving a top dollar slot receiver $95 million, and that's ludicrous.
If that's what,
it's not the same thing though.
I don't know, man.
James Harrison was not a slot receiver. He was,
all right.
He was the sixth man of the year.
James Harrison was a defensive end.
I'm
not talking about James Harrison.
You're talking about Harrison Barnes?
Harrison Barnes and James Harden. Yeah.
Rockets. James Harden.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Yeah, but honestly,
But he does struggle with the shot, though. Like, he definitely does.
Yeah, that's why he's a sixth man. He's coming off the bench, because he's giving the first five, a chance to rest so that they can get back in the game. You have to, basketball is about strategy. It's kind of like, in a sense, the strategy of NASCAR. You know what I mean? When is it too premature to go change tires? When is it too premature to get, the gas right away? Do I do it when I'm about to run on fumes, or do I do it right when I'm almost about a quarter? But I need tires now too. So that strategy is thought about in basketball the same way that is in hockey. You have lines of people, right? You're rotating lines in hockey. You're rotating people in basketball to keep them fresh. The same thing in football. You got, unfortunately, the people that are being rotated in are not getting paid nearly as much as they should be for their contributions at times. But but that's up to, the game of football to start becoming more marketable. But with, players shooting themselves, getting in domestic disputes and things like that, there's a lot of public image issues. But the same thing goes on in basketball. There's a lot of public issues with them, because think about all the drugs and the fast car, basic the tickets and things like that, just being a nuisance, at the clubs. Because there's one thing that I'll tell you right now: if you don't, the long basketball season means this: you got a lot of crazy, bored dudes on the road. And I don't know about you, but if I got lots of money, you already know, single mothers in clubs across the country are rejoicing in glee that the NBA gave more players more money, because that means child support's getting paid and they're gonna get rained on.
That is terrible. But let's talk about something else terrible. Terrible being the New York Knicks. Can Noah help Melo and finally get the Knicks at least back to the playoffs? Talking about the center coming out of Florida, being born in New York. Noah leaving the Bulls, going to the Knicks for $72 million over 4 years. Now as a center, he's averaging 4.3 a game, getting 8.8 rebounds.